What if the world's most powerful technology was being built recklessly? What if the companies creating advanced artificial intelligence, the kind that could influence elections, manage nuclear systems, or shape the economy, had no real safety plan? In 2024, a new report dropped a truth bomb on the tech world, the AI Safety Index. And the results? Alarming. Some of the biggest names in intelligent-driven systems got failing grades. Let's break down what the index says, who's taking the risk seriously, and who's playing with fire. The stakes of artificial intelligence gone wrong. Today, the technology is being woven into the very fabric of modern life, deployed in military operations, guiding decisions, in trillion-dollar financial markets, influencing outcomes, in legal courts, and even managing critical infrastructure like power grids and water supplies. And with great power comes, well, in this case, not so great responsibility. The implications are enormous. A glitch in an algorithm managing air traffic, or energy flow, isn't just a bug. It's a potential catastrophe. Deepfakes can erode public trust. Intelligent-generated misinformation can sway elections. Biased algorithms can reinforce systemic injustice under the illusion of objectivity. And not to mention autonomous weapon systems. They raise existential questions we're not ready to answer. This isn't fiction, it's today's headline. Which is why safety can't be an afterthought. It can't be something we figure out after deployment, once harm has already occurred. The stakes are simply too high. That's where the index comes in. A signal flare. A way to measure, compare, and hold accountable.
Number one, I would form a new agency that licenses any effort above a certain scale of capabilities.
It's not about fear, it's about foresight. Because if we're going to unleash machines that learn, decide, and act at scale, we better make sure they do so safely. We know this technology can change the world. The question is, will it be for better or worse? What is the AI Safety Index? Think of it as a global artificial intelligence report card, but instead of grading students, it evaluates something far more consequential. How the world's most powerful companies are handling the immense responsibility they now carry. Created by a cross-disciplinary coalition of researchers, ethicists, engineers, and policy experts, the index is designed to assess and compare how different organizations manage the full spectrum of AI-related risks. This isn't just about theoretical ethics, it's about operational reality. We're talking about concrete, measurable safeguards, transparency in how models are trained and used, rigorous testing under real-world conditions, built-in fail-safes to prevent runaway behaviors, red teaming to expose blind spots, strong internal governance, and mechanisms for public accountability. The index isn't afraid to call it like it is. The idea is simple: name and shame. The companies cutting corners, burying red flags, or hiding behind closed source secrecy. At the same time, it shines a spotlight on those leading by example, organizations putting safety, responsibility, and long-term impact ahead of short-term profit.
OpenAI reportedly growing frustrated with its obligations to Microsoft.
Ultimately, the index offers more than rankings. It offers clarity for regulators, for journalists, and for everyday citizens. It shows who's building with care and who's rolling the dice with systems that could affect millions. Because in the age of autonomous decision makers, oversight isn't optional. It's essential. The grades are in and they're not good. Spoiler alert, most of the companies tested didn't pass. When the AI Safety Index team evaluated 10 of the most prominent developers in 2024, including industry giants like OpenAI, Google DeepMind, Anthropic, Meta, and others, the results were sobering. 2 companies scored above 50%. Just 2. The rest? Stuck in the danger zone. Some didn't even clear 30%. These are the organizations building the engines that will drive everything, from national security systems to your next medical diagnosis. And yet, when it comes to safety, transparency, and oversight, they're failing. Let's be clear. This isn't about whether their systems work. Most of it does, some of it spectacularly. This is about whether the technology is being built and deployed responsibly. Are the models thoroughly tested before release? Are fail-safes built in? Are teams red teaming the risks or just racing to market? Is there any transparency at all about how decisions are made or how harm is mitigated? In far too many cases, the answer is no, and that's the real problem. Because innovation without oversight isn't just risky, it's reckless. The world doesn't need smarter tech, it needs safer artificial intelligence. And right now, the report card says must do better. Transparency is missing. One of the biggest and most alarming gaps uncovered by the AI Safety Index? Transparency, or rather, the lack of it. Across the board, many companies either flat out refused to disclose their safety protocols or revealed that they didn't have clear systems in place to begin with. These aren't small startups. We're talking about major players shaping the global artificial intelligence landscape. Yet when asked about basic safety practices, their answers were vague, inconsistent, or completely absent. Some companies declined to explain how they conduct red teaming, the process of stress testing models for failure modes, security vulnerabilities, or potential misuse. Others wouldn't confirm whether they even had a formal risk assessment team in place. And when it came to disclosure of model release criteria or emergency shutdown mechanisms, silence. This isn't just a PR problem, it's a trust problem. If companies won't tell us how they're managing safety risks, how can we believe they're managing them at all? Transparency is the foundation of accountability. It enables independent researchers, regulators, and the public to pose challenging questions and demand more effective answers. Without it, we're left in the dark, hoping the people building these systems know what they're doing without any way to verify it. In an industry moving this fast, opacity is not a luxury, it's a liability. Currently, that liability is increasing. Testing is weak or non-existent. Another glaring issue exposed by the AI Safety Index: inadequate testing, and in some cases, no testing at all.
Singapore has released tools and resources to help businesses create and deploy AI in a safer way.
When you're building powerful, autonomous systems that can write code, persuade humans, or even control hardware, rigorous testing isn't a luxury, it's the bare minimum. But the index found that many companies are falling short. Shockingly short. Several major developers don't systematically stress test their models for harmful behavior, deception, or catastrophic misuse. That means no structured evaluation for whether a model might lie, manipulate, jailbreak its own instructions, or act in dangerous, unexpected ways under pressure. Even more concerning, only a handful of companies engage in adversarial testing, a process where teams actively try to break their models by simulating worst-case scenarios. Without this kind of testing, serious safety risks can go undetected until it's too late. Would you trust it on the road? Then why should we trust intelligent systems being deployed into the world, interacting with millions of users, making decisions at scale, if no one's checked how they behave under pressure? We can't assume these models will be safe by default. We have to test them like our lives depend on it. Because one day, they just might. No kill switch? Here's where it gets terrifying. Among the most critical findings from the AI Safety Index was this: most companies surveyed lacked a public concrete plan for emergency shutdown or containment if their intelligent systems spin out of control. No off switch, no rollback procedure, and no crisis response protocol. In other words, if something goes wrong, if a powerful model starts issuing dangerous instructions, manipulating systems, or behaving unpredictably, there may be no reliable way to shut it down. This isn't just an oversight, it's a structural failure. Some companies argue that building a true kill switch is technically challenging. Others don't address the issue at all. But here's the truth. If we're deploying systems capable of autonomous action at scale, not having a functional shutdown plan isn't just risky, it's irresponsible. We wouldn't launch a spaceship without an abort sequence. We wouldn't operate a nuclear reactor without an emergency cooling system. So why are we allowing the release of frontier large language models without any way to contain them in a crisis? This isn't alarmism, it's risk realism. Because the problem with powerful systems isn't just what they're designed to do, it's what they might do when things break. And right now, if they break, we may be powerless to stop them. Company by company breakdown. Let's name names. Because accountability starts with visibility. The AI Safety Index didn't just score the industry as a whole. It broke things down company by company. And the results paint a revealing picture of who's taking safety seriously, and who still has a long way to go. Anthropic emerged as a relative leader. Their work on constitutional AI, which aims to bake ethical principles directly into model behavior, earned high marks. Combined with unusually detailed public documentation around safety protocols and internal oversight, they stood out from the crowd. OpenAI landed squarely in the middle. While they've made major contributions to the technical side of safety, their marks were dragged down by a lack of transparency in key areas, especially around red teaming practices and crisis shutdown planning. Google DeepMind, surprisingly, underperformed. Despite publishing some of the best academic papers on AI alignment and safety, their corporate-level disclosures fell short. Transparency about actual deployment policies, oversight structures, and external audits was minimal. Meta and Amazon scored the lowest. Both companies received poor marks in transparency, limited or unclear red teaming efforts, and very little visible oversight. For companies with such massive reach, these gaps are concerning, especially for Meta, as the company pushes to be the artificial intelligence world leader through the build-out of a superintelligence AI team. This isn't about shaming, it's about demanding better. The stakes are too high for guesswork.
There were only a few guests, some of the smartest minds in artificial intelligence. They were handpicked by the Meta CEO himself.
When it comes to AI safety, opacity is not an option. The global danger of disparity. One of the most unsettling findings from the AI Safety Index wasn't just how low the scores were, but how uneven they were. The gap between the most responsible AI companies and the least is widening, and that disparity could be disastrous. Some developers are pouring millions into safety research, internal oversight, third-party audits, red teaming, and formal shutdown protocols. They treat artificial intelligence like what it is, a powerful, unpredictable force that demands caution and control. Others, they're moving fast and breaking things, shipping large models with minimal safeguards, prioritizing market share and hype cycles over transparency and testing. For them, it's a race to launch. No brakes, no seatbelts, no map. The real danger here isn't just that one of these companies might cause harm. It's that in a world increasingly reliant on open source models and freely available tools, one company's reckless release can ripple out instantly. A single high-risk model, leaked, copied, or modified, could be repurposed for scams, disinformation, or worse. The riskiest technology may not come from the smartest labs. It may come from the least careful ones. And when that happens, the fallout won't stay local. Because risk doesn't respect borders. One bad release can go global fast. That's why narrowing this safety gap isn't optional. It's urgent, real-world consequences. This isn't theoretical. The risks of unsafe intelligence systems aren't just predictions. They're already here. Poorly monitored models have produced real, harmful outcomes. We've seen systems write malicious code that can be deployed for hacking, phishing, or even cyber warfare. We've seen chatbots give users self-harm advice, sometimes in disturbingly persuasive language, and we've seen autonomous agents manipulate users, exploit loopholes in their prompts, or deceive testers during evaluations. These aren't flukes, they're warning signs. And as models grow in capability, becoming more autonomous, more convincing, more integrated into society, the consequences will only escalate. Imagine what happens when these systems are smarter than us, but still lack safeguards, oversight, or even an off switch. Imagine when they're embedded in critical infrastructure, legal systems, or national defense without the necessary controls to contain errors, bias, or emergent behaviors. We're not dealing with a hypothetical intelligence decades away. We're dealing with highly capable intelligence systems now, already deployed, already misused, and in many cases already beyond the understanding of their creators. The stakes are rising with every release, and without robust safety practices in place, the gap between capability and control is becoming a chasm. This is the new frontier, and whether we cross it safely or blindly depends on what we do next. Why companies avoid safety? Why wouldn't a billion-dollar company prioritize safety? The short answer, time and money. The longer answer, incentives, or rather the lack thereof. Building safe intelligent systems means slowing down. It means rigorous testing, red teaming, external audits, and perhaps worst of all, for some executives, transparency. Every one of those steps costs money. Everyone adds friction to the move fast and scale playbook. There's also a strategic fear. The more a company reveals about its safety practices, or lack thereof, the more vulnerable it becomes to public criticism, legal risk, or regulatory intervention. In some boardrooms, the thinking is simple. The less you say, the less they can use against you. And here's the kicker. The companies trying hardest to be responsible, they're often the ones most scrutinized. The more guardrails you build, the more you're expected to explain them. What the index recommends? Public documentation of safety protocols. No more vague promises. Clear, detailed safety disclosures help the public, regulators, and peers understand what guardrails are actually in place. External red teaming and third-party audits. Independent experts should actively probe for vulnerabilities, not just internal staff incentivized to pass tests. Mandatory shutdown mechanisms. Every advanced model needs a functional, tested kill switch. If things go wrong, there must be a way to intervene immediately. Independent oversight boards. Not just corporate governance, but truly independent ethics and risk councils that have real influence over deployment decisions. Regulatory reporting for powerful models. If a system can persuade, deceive, or code on its own, it should be reported, logged, and monitored under transparent national or global frameworks. And above all, transparency, because secrecy is the enemy of safety. When intelligent systems are shaping decisions, policies, and human lives, we deserve to know what's under the hood before it drives us off a cliff. A call for regulation. The index doesn't just stop at company-level reforms. It makes a bold, necessary recommendation. Governments need to step in, because right now self-regulation is failing. Voluntary guidelines are being ignored or selectively followed. Industry-led safety boards lack teeth. And while AI capabilities accelerate, policy remains stuck in neutral. Yes, it's true. Laws can't move at the speed of innovative technology, but that doesn't mean governments are powerless. They can and must set the guardrails that define what's acceptable, what's accountable, and what's off limits. Think: mandatory safety reporting for large models, certification processes for high-risk intelligence systems, enforcement mechanisms for companies that cut corners, funding for public interest research, not just corporate labs, global coordination to prevent regulatory arbitrage. Because without regulation, the market will continue to reward recklessness. The fastest, flashiest releases will win investor attention, even if they skip basic safety steps. And responsible builders will be penalized for doing things the right way. That's not innovation. That's a race to the bottom. If we want to ensure safety for the public interest, we need more than hope and handshakes. We need a policy. We need a law. And we need a line that reckless actors can't cross, no matter how powerful their model is performing. The open source wildcard. There's one twist the safety index doesn't shy away from: open source artificial intelligence. At first glance, open models seem like a win for transparency. Anyone can inspect the code, audit the architecture, and replicate the results. That's a benefit for academic research, public accountability, and innovation. But here's the catch. Anyone also includes bad actors. When powerful models are released without usage restrictions or safety scaffolding, they become raw materials for scams, disinformation, cyber attacks, and more. We're accelerating down a technological highway with no brakes, no clear map, and only a vague sense of where it all leads. Worse, the drivers behind the wheel. Companies, investors, even governments are incentivized to press the gas, not pump the brakes. The index isn't here to play referee. It's waving a giant red flag out the window, shouting, "This is not sustainable. This is not safe. And this is not how you handle technology that can alter economies, elections, and existential risk." If we keep pushing the limits of what AI can do without first mastering how to control what it might do, we may not like where this road ends, or how fast we get there. Here's the bottom line. The most powerful companies in the world are building civilization-shaping technology without passing basic safety tests. If that worries you, it should. If we don't build safer intelligence systems now, we may not get a second chance later. The future of the technology doesn't just belong to coders, CEOs, defense departments, it belongs to all of us. Like this video and subscribe if you want to stay ahead of the most important tech stories of our time. Tell us in the comments, which company would you trust to build the artificial intelligence that runs the world? Thanks for watching, stay blessed, and stay curious.